Okay, I have 20 minutes to expose the vision of HP, how we will address the Exascale program. You will see our focus will be on data-centric data center, the first slide. Then we think that the most challenging, the presentation is short, the 20 minutes is very challenging for me to expose a large program like that. Then I will try to focus where we see the disruptive change in the next 10 years. The big change in future will be that we will focus more on data-centric problems because compute-centric is something we do since 30 years in HPC, but in future the challenge of data will be bigger than the challenge on the compute side. In future, we think that compute will stay the way it is today, mostly the same shrink technology, but communication will be photonic, and storing data will move to ions, that means on memory store. And I will give some detail on that. And why we focus on data-centric computing is because the volume of data increasing every year increase significantly more than the Moore's law of compute. And we see a lot of customers. And in the past, when we had an HPC tender, we spoke only on compute. The storage was the second problem, and now the storage is becoming more and more a challenge, and sometimes the biggest challenge. And the data are coming from two directions. One is the web, and you can say, why we care about the social data and all these data? In future, HPC will have to learn how to use this type of data. For example, in bioscience, it could be very useful to mix the sensors data from the instrument that give you your heart, and also instruments that capture what you do every day, or to give you better idea on how to improve your health. And already a lot of companies are trying to use this data to do better science. Naturally, on science, the biggest source of data will be all instruments, all sensors that are becoming very cheap, extremely powerful, so powerful that sometimes the customer cannot know what to do with the volume of data they collect already today, and they only know that in future, in very short future, they will have more and more data. And they store that on disk, and generally these data are stored and never used because it's so hard to use the data. Then our labs have started many years ago a fundamental program with an objective to radically change the way we will collect data, we transport data, we store the data, and the most important thing is what we do with the data. Because the objective of data is not storing the data, but extracting the value of the data. And that's probably where is the biggest challenge and where we will have the biggest disruptive contribution in the next years. Our vision is implemented in two phases. Short term, we call that moonshot. And in longer term, we call it NanoStore-centric, but the objective is to disrupt by a factor of 10 or 100 in 10 years what we think will be the exascale machine. I mean, if we continue the trends of current technology, we know exactly what will be the power capability of the memory of the processor. It's not feasible to have a commercial exascale machine. Our objective is to disrupt that, to make an exascale machine something viable for commercial business. And the reason is to make it available for big data problems, because we want this machine to be affordable and to sell many of them. Two core technologies will enable that vision. If we fail to succeed in one of these two technologies, there will be no exascale machine. And that's not true for HP, that's true for the industry. you have to radically change the way you transport the data. And the only way which is potential today is photonics. And HP is very engaged in the research on that. We have a very good idea on what we can do and at what cost, because it's very important to focus on cost. Anybody can develop disruptive technology, but to make it available at the scale we expect to make it available for exascale, you should make it very cheap, and that's very important. Then we have the main challenge today is not the technology, it's the cost. Then we are focusing on that. We have a roadmap because naturally we will not implement that suddenly in 2018 or 2020. We will need to do incremental steps, and you will see regularly in our product some of these technology appearing. Then the next step is the optical backplane. After we will have an HyperX switch, photonic connected memory, and at the end, a processor. This does not mean that HP develops that. It means HP develops the technology to do it and will partner with people to develop the full picture of the exascale machine. The second core technology, which is maybe even more fundamental, is non-volatile memory. There are three emerging non-volatile memory. HP is focused on memory store, but there are two other alternatives, and the three will be competitive and can play a different role in the exascale machine. Why HP focus on memory store is the most promising for the long term in terms of cost, density, and characteristics. The non-volatile memory promises that you will have a memory that you turn off the current and you keep the state for years. That's very disruptive in terms of energy you use. Today, DIMM, you have the power and permanence on the DIMM, and in fact, you waste the energy for doing that. In the future, you will use power just while you are reading the memory store or the non-volatile memory, and it will disrupt the power, which is a big issue. The second issue is cost, and we expect that the memory store in future to be significantly cheaper than classical DRAM that they will replace sometime. And we expect probably even to be at a cost so low that we can replace the disk for certain niche of the machine, exascale. Then probably around 2018 and 2020, we can be competitive with disk, with memory store or non-volatile technology. It's our expectation, and we do, because it's so fundamental that it changes radically the way you will use data. You imagine a disk today, the time you need to read a disk is 1 day. In future, it will be 2 days, 3 days to read a full disk. That means if you have data on that disk, in 1 year, you can read it 100 times. If you have the same amount of data in memory store, you can read it beyond of time per year. It changes radically the usage of data. That's the vision. That's so fundamental for big data. It's a must-do if we want to have a useful exaflop machine. The complete vision of our current plan for exascale is that we have to develop the component on the left. Then we develop technology to be part of the design of processor, of memory, with memory store, with the photonic. We will develop some concept of sockets, of switch, for connecting a huge number of these processors. We are working on next generation of rack, very efficient racks, and we think that in future, to develop a good exascale machine, you need a holistic approach. You need to work on everything together. It's impossible, you imagine, you work on 2 of these components, you forget the other part, and in 5 years, 6 years, you try to assemble all different parts coming from other direction. It's impossible, it will work. For exascale, with the challenge of power, the reliability, cost, you need to have an holistic approach and find partners to help you, because HP alone cannot do it. It's so challenging that you need a lot of partners to do that. Big disruption on the way we think the future is that today, when you have data on your disk, you move the data to the compute, to your compute node. today mostly Xeon nodes. In future, we will do the opposite. It's impossible to move so vast amount of data in future, even on NanoStore. Then in the future, it's fundamental in your algorithm that a huge proportion of the compute is done very close to the data. Then if the disks are replaced by the NanoStore of memory store, they will be on the NanoStore, you will have small compute capacity, and you will do a huge part of the treatment very close to the data. If you know to do that in your algorithm, you will scale to extremely large scale and at a very interesting cost. If you don't do that, if you expect that the photonic high-performance fabric will help you, you will stall somewhere in the future. It's impossible. Then even photonic has limits. Speed of light is one of the limits. We cannot do anything for that. Then it's fundamental in your problems, your algorithms. You try to think now on this locality of computing close to the data. And we will have in our product very soon this type of technology. For example, we will have storage where we have compute in the storage. If you know to do most of the compute in the very close to the storage, that's Hadoop, for example, concept of Hadoop, you can have a very large machine with a very small fabric and low-cost fabric, which is very important if you want to scale at extreme scale. But in short term, we have another project called Moonshot, and very soon you will learn more on that. And what we are trying to do is to use all these emerging, very low-cost ecosystem developed for phone or tablets. Some of these processors have very interesting properties. They are very cheap. They are extremely low power. Clearly, they don't address all HPC market, but there are opportunities for very large workload to do disruptions in terms of cost energy, which is sometimes more important than serial performance. That's the project Moonshot. What we are trying to do is we take today, if you have a cluster, you have your Xeon processor, and you put on it a lot of different applications. And you tune your application on that platform. Sometimes you have a GPU in the node, but globally you have almost everybody's fight with the same architecture. Now we are trying to do the opposite. If you have something very large, because it's clearly not a solution for small workload, the classical approach will be still the best platform for the small and medium problems. But if you have something extremely large, like in biology, like in oil and gas, like in banks, like in defense, in this large machine, you can take the opposite view. You can take your application and think, what would be the best platform for best architecture for that problem? And the best platform, you will try to develop it with different constraints, which is cost, which is power, density, and complexity. Because you want to scale to very large size, then this 4 dimension will be critical for you. Not always 4 dimension. Sometimes I see some customers that have constraint on power. Now they want to disrupt the power efficiency. But it's not 20, 30% they want. They really want to disrupt. They don't care about the serial performance. They care about what is the energy to run a workload. And a workload can be 1 million job. Can run for 1 month. They don't care the number of nodes. They care what is the energy, because they cannot go to the provider and ask for 5 additional megawatt. And with what they have today, they need to continue the Moore's law of compute capacity at ISO power, which was not the case in the past. In the past, regularly, you were adding capacity in your electricity data center. Now we stop for most big data center. And these customers that have this challenge are extremely interested by this vision of trying to look on the market, all the SOC of different, and you see ARM, you see classical Intel, AMD, there will be a lot of variants of that in the future. Then again, what are the objectives? And today we have a platform called Redstone, which is not performant for HPC, but is very promising for web providers. And if you take a classical x86 cluster and you take the new cluster of Redstone with this ARM processor, you radically change the energy, you radically change the density, you improve a little the cost, and the complexity is significantly lower, mostly because you have almost no cable. That's the main place where you save complexity. The first platform that was not supposed to be sold. It was more a development, a concept architecture. We will have a new one in future that will be a real product, but this one was more to explore the business of this low power processor. And again, it's not just the low power processor. Sometimes if you have a very dense processor with a mic or with a GPU, it's not a low power processor. What you care is the efficiency. You care of having something which is significantly more efficient in terms of using the energy for the job, not the flop. I'm not speaking just of flop. I'm speaking of performance of the workload. And there are a lot of emerging technology. We want to use this technology if it's possible for HPC and non-HPC workload. Today, where we expect to win in short term with this platform is the easy target is everything which is web-centric. So the Apache server, the sort machine, they will win on all parameters. They will win significantly on cost, on power, and density, and complexity. Then it's no-brainer for this market. For mainstream workload, probably you win if you have some constraint in space. It could be one option. If you like in certain places, the bank, for example, they are very constrained by the space. They can select some of these options just because they have that huge constraint on space. And they win a little on power, but at the price of being a little more expensive. For what we have today, HPC does not seem to be a good target for this emerging machine, but we know our roadmap and we know we will have more interesting platform for HPC for this specific workload. But again, that's not something generic. That's something that addresses the extreme large workload. If you have a problem like that, something very challenging, that you know your data are growing so rapidly that you have no idea you can buy the storage or buy the compute required to do the treatment, maybe it's interesting to look at that technology and find something radically different and see if we can resolve your problem. And we stop there. I hope I was not too long. I was in time. I will take one or two questions if I have time.
Any questions?
Very good. No question. Thank you.